Excuse me while I whip this out.
Where's the override? The override!
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
My mind is a raging torrent, flooded with rivulets of thought, cascading into a waterfall of creative alternatives.
God darn it, Mr. Lamar. You use your tongue prettier than a $20 whore.
Nerdrotic.com.
What a week it has been. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're too kind. Please. Please. Thank you. Thank you. My God. You're beautiful. What a week we have been having. The lovely Mrs. Nerdrotic mentioned to me just this morning that I might be enjoying this Disney Schadenfreude a little bit too much. Guilty as charged. Yes, I have. Now, one of the things is pretty serious. I'm more focused on the Victoria Alonso thing, but we'll certainly talk about Jonathan Majors, the person that I believe everybody involved with Ant-Man 3 wanted to have sex with. Got into a little trouble. I'll say off the bat, innocent until proven guilty, but we will discuss that. Still, we've seen false allegations before. We haven't seen video. We don't know all the facts, and we certainly can't rely on New York DAs to be, I don't know, honest, or any DAs. Based on my experience, their entire existence is to get convictions no matter what. Sure, there's some good ones out there. I haven't met any. But that aside, welcome, everyone. Chris Persia and his Canadian wrench, what is up? Beg for Mercy, hello. Scott Cook, hello. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. It's noon in Australia. It's noon in Australia. So the nooner always applies. And listen, you don't have to have a nooner at nooner. At nooner or at noon. You can have a nooner anytime you want. Depends on when your lunch break is. It depends on how close to home you are. It depends if your lady or dude, whatever, is home and you got enough time to have a little delight before you get back to work. It really makes the second half of the day at work much better. Trust me on that. Okay, you can trust me on that. Almanac 13, hello. Kara, hello. And hey, I'm going to hit the applause button again. Carl Lynn, as you all know, who was canceled earlier in the year. I forgot the name of the company already because I don't buy vintage games. It's that they repackage vintage games. And some manual transmission decided to freak out because she simply wanted to play Hogwarts Legacy and got her canceled, has been hired today by Eric July and the brilliant people at the Rip of Birth. That's why I'm wearing my ISOM shirt today. Congratulations, Carl Lynn. You're in a much better place. I wish you all the luck in the world. I know you're going to do a great job. Become uncancelable and ungovernable. Governable. Where's Shad? Shad is playing with his nunchucks right now. I have it on good authority that he's playing with his nunchucks and trying to become one with the AI. Shad will be the very first techno mage. You watch. He will be the very first techno mage. So much has happened. I cannot even keep up. I decided to, I'm working on a video right now, a follow-up to my last one on the main channel. I've done a couple on Nerdrotic Daily. By the way, thank you for all the support over there. It's been killing it. So well done, Perry Chan and all of you for supporting us on Nerdrotic Daily. The Victoria Alonso saga continues. And Marvel's quick demise continues. Despite what some corporate media hacks and shills might try to say, they're going to say it's not from the identity politics or intersectional feminism or the general woke mind virus at Disney, which is the foundation of every problem they have. The access media will never say that. The shills will never say that. They're just going to take what Disney says on face value. Now, I'm not going to sit here and claim I'm a man. I mean, my old man told me that anybody who has to constantly state that they're a man knows in their heart they aren't. That being said, I'm mature. And I don't have blind faith in any institution. And neither should you. Not should you. So I'm not going to trust Disney's official version of events. I think it might be a part of the truth. A smidgen. A percentage. A morsel. What's the difference between a crumb and a morsel, by the way? I don't know the answer to that question. Might have to do the science on that one. But I will say that might be part of the truth. It's very easy to find reasons to fire someone as bombastic as Victoria Alonso. I mean, we've all seen her on the red carpet. I imagine she's a little firecracker behind the scenes, or was. And probably they had a multitude of reasons to fire her. But no, we can't even consider that it's due to the massive failure of Marvel Phase 4, Ant-Man 3 being a bomb. Let's just see. I put it up on Twitter last night. Let's quickly recap. We'll see if I can do this off the top of my head. Just in the past 6 months, since November, they have lost millions of subscribers on Disney+. They have lost billions on Disney+. They have fired a CEO in the middle of the night on a Sunday at an Elton John concert, and they fired a Marvel president. Just in the last 6 months. Not even 6, 5. Now, call me crazy. That's not good. I don't think that's good. I thought Bobby Iger was going to come in and save everything. And that's not even counting the former producer that's suing Lucasfilm, which is part of Disney. And now there's going to be another lawsuit. Black eye after black eye after black eye. And then there's Jonathan Majors, which, again, we'll get into. Larry, thank you for being a member for 33 months. Victoria Alonso's fam, part of the dictatorship in Argentina. Wouldn't be surprised at all. And I have to acknowledge, it was up here. Up. Man, you guys are going crazy. Thank you. Micro Mega. Behold my awesome milestone. Behold, a member for 21 months. Hail to you. Sully Bach says Jay is gray. Jay, drunk 3PO? He's got a little gray in his hair. So do I. It just makes him more prestigious. I mean, not less gay, but, we love Jay. and we don't judge him. Support his comic book. Support his comic book. Hail Drunk 3PO. Shout out to Drunk 3PO. Also, Paul Chato, who I had a very good time with on the Film Threat Oscars party, sent me this. Canoe head. This is brilliant. So I got to take pictures of it. I just had to show Mr. Canoe Head. He was part of a Dr. Demento classic called Boot to the Head. All right, if you're familiar with Dr. Demento back in the day, you know, this is a long time ago when I was a kid, before the wheel or fire. But then we did have radio for some reason. Yeah, he was part of that before he was a big network executive. So thank you, Paul. You're a good dude. Make good videos too. He makes good videos. Josh Kelsey, thank you for the $20 donation. I appreciate it, and we will get to that. Yeah, Canoe is super cool. This is going, of course, in the Walls of Wonder. The Walls of Wonder. What else happened today? Oh, according to an anonymous Twitter account with a little hamster face with 0 followers that was created in January of 2023, Robert Meyer Burnett and yours truly saved Kurtzman Trek. Didn't know I had that kind of power. We will definitely address that later on in the show. I mean, I just want to point out that Alex Kurtzman's under contract till 2026. You can look it up yourself. And that hasn't changed. I would love it to change very much, but it hasn't changed. Has not changed. So, where do we begin? Where do we begin? Well, as you know, Victoria Alonso was fired. At first, it was left, then it turned into fired, and then it went to her kind of snapping back after Disney. And I was wondering, because in the article I covered, they talked to the legal department, which they have to do all the time, but like they made a point to put it in the article, and believe me, Disney released a statement, and what happens these days in the trades, especially the official version of events trades, will just take a press release and copy and paste it. Because they're in fear of these companies. They're all conglomerated at this point. But I thought that was odd that was put in there. So it turns out, according to Disney, there was a movie called Argentina 1985. Don't cry for me, Argentina. I saw that play. I did when I was a kid. And it was for another company. I can't remember if it was Amazon or whatever. And I guess she was working in secret for the last 2 or 3 years during the development of this film and producing it. And they said it was a breach of contract. I find that very, very hard to believe. That nobody at Disney would notice a Marvel president who has to oversee all of the coordination between the video effects departments, amongst many other things that are her duties. Didn't notice she was working on another film or producing another film and promoting it. Now, it is weird. It is weird, but she says she had permission. They say she didn't, and now she gonna sue. She is gonna sue. I really don't care. I'm not on anybody's side. I'm just enjoying it. So many Victoria Alonso articles. It was quiet right after she left for like 2 days, and then boom, everything starts dropping. This is getting ugly, and you want to know why it's getting ugly. Do you want to know why? Because you hired an activist. Now, she might have been very quiet when she was just a producer for Marvel. But not, once she got the power, it went straight to her head. That happens to some people. It does. I have never said, and I don't think any of my cohorts have ever said, that she is solely responsible for the identity politics driven Disney Marvel MCU. But she was a force behind it. And to say that she wasn't is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I believe one pundit was saying she's not a creative executive. Well, neither is Kevin Feige. And he's the one responsible for all of it because he's the leader, but she was number 2. She was his numero dos. And I'm sure she had a lot of influence in casting and all kinds of stuff, including the actors who said that she was, and very supportive, by the way. Victoria Alonso weighing legal action against Disney Marvel. Oh, there's a comma there, but we're seeing it more and more. They're being called, in the trades, they call it Disney's Marvel. I prefer Disney Marvel, but man, that's close. Over sudden firing. Serious consequences, promises lawyer Patty Glazer as Mouse House points. Indisputable breach of contract. Well, I think she's still a fall guy for Kevin Feige's failures, who did not step in to protect her. He just couldn't do it. His hands were tied. The man who took out the head of Marvel Studios, Ike Perlmutter, who worked to usurp his seat right off the board, and at the time, Kevin Feige was just a producer, somehow couldn't find the time to save his girl. I find that very hard to believe. I find that very, very hard to believe. Don't you? The Walt Disney Company is facing serious consequences and possible legal action over the pink slipping this week of Marvel VFX chief Victoria Alonso, making it clear to Bob Iger and Kevin Feige and everyone at the House of Mouse that she is not going quietly. Of course not. That's what happens when you hire a raging activist. They're not going to go quietly. That's why it's a woke mind virus. That's why it's a cancer. And she is just one of the tumors. The Oscar-nominated producer has retained the services of Patty Glazer to that end, with competing POVs, points of view, on what is going on. BTS, the Glazer, Wheel, Fink, Howard, We, Cheatham and Howe, LLP partner, is putting Disney on notice. In a statement released Friday for the now former president, she's going to remain former president. She ain't getting her job back. Physical and post-production, VFX and animation productions for Marvel Studios. The litigator, who is already taking Disney-owned Lucasfilm to court. Oh, it's the same lawyer. Yes, for canning of Star Wars TV series, The Acolyte EP, Karen McCarthy said, let's scroll down. Oh, this is just too good. The idea that Victoria was fired over a handful of press interviews relating to a personal passion project about human rights and democracy that was nominated for an Oscar. I love how they have to put that in there. What has that got to do with anything? And which she got Disney's blessing to work on is absolutely ridiculous. Victoria, here we go. Here we go. A gay Latina, at least they didn't say Latinx. Let's give credit where credit is due, who had the courage to criticize Disney. Well, there you go. That's another reason you were fired. I mentioned this in previous live streams. I don't care if Victoria Alonso and Bob Iger were best friends, and their kids were best friends, and they went to soccer games together, and they both had the same favorite baseball team and football team. If you call out a previous CEO, even if Bob Iger hated that previous CEO, you're still going to go. You're still part of the problem, because that CEO is still way more concerned with his job and said, well, this one's a potential problem. We'll get to her later. Well, later has come. Was silenced. Then she was terminated when she refused to do something she believed was reprehensible. Disney and Marvel made a really poor decision that will have serious consequences. There is a lot more to the story, and Victoria will be telling it shortly in one forum or another. Well, she could put an epilogue in her book that's being published by Disney. I can't. That's awkward to say the least. Disney isn't taking that shot across the bow without a missive of their own. It's unfortunate that Victoria is sharing a narrative that leaves out several key factors concerning her departure, including an indisputable breach of contract and a direct violation of company policy. A Disney spokesperson told Deadline this evening, "We will continue to wish her the very best in the future and thank her for her numerous contributions to the studio. Don't let the door hit you on the way in the ass on the way out." Alonso still has Possibility is Your Superpower memoir coming out later this year on the Disney imprint. If I was to write a script of what I wanted to happen to Disney this year, I couldn't have come up with something this good. I couldn't have. Should I have sympathy or empathy for this company or everybody involved in destroying our modern mythology and making a villain of the fans? No, none at all. She's not going to go broke. She's a very rich woman. She will find other work. She will be fine. She will be fine. The very press-friendly Alonso, who was consistently an outspoken champion of diversity at Disney, to the point where she called out then CEO Bob Chapek to take a stand against Florida's parental rights bill. You disingenuous. It's a little too early in the stream. You disingenuous. Abruptly departed early this week from Marvel Studios after a near 2-decade run. Just wondering if that had anything to do with Reedy Creek, Disney losing their tax-exempt status, and losing what will be, in the future, billions of dollars. Something to consider? No. Had nothing to do with that. It was just a breach of contract. So I ask you again, Mr. Chapek, please respect. If we're selling family, take a stand against all these crazy, outdated outlaws. Or laws. Laws, not outlaws. Just comes naturally, being one. Alonso told a GLAAD audience over the clear discrimination move in the Sunshine State, a.k.a. home of Disney World. Take a stand for family. Stop saying that you tolerate us. We deserve the right to live, love, and have. More importantly, we deserve an origin story. What does that have to do with not teaching anything sexual, gay or straight, to 6-year-olds? I was given a PDF from GLAAD, and it was an assessment over representation, LGBTQ plus representation in Hollywood. Over the past year, I believe, the CW had 17%, which is about 13% more than the gay population here in the United States. And they said it wasn't enough because it's never enough. Absolutely, they should be allowed and free to do what they want, get the parts they want, be written into stories. No problem with that. Never had a problem with it. But when you are mandating, well, then you're a political organization. There's advocacy. Fine with that. I don't have a problem with that. There's a big difference between advocacy and being a political organization, because they don't advocate for gay Republicans. However, with that, we hear that the Buenos Aires-born Alonso did not initially seek permission to produce the Academy Award-nominated Argentina 1985, but did see her contract redrafted out of respect for her years at the company. The sticking point was Alonso was distinctly not supposed to promote the political drama, which she did. That was the breaking point, an insider says. Sounds like a good story. As for Alonso being told to stay away from the press, there are more than a handful of media clippings from June last year announcing her memoir and with quotes from the then exec. Now, before we get to that, movies take a long time to produce. There's no way they didn't know about this. They redrafted it, whatever. But let's just say it's also not out of the realm of possibility that a corporation would set somebody up for the fall or a fall when was the contract redrafted? Was it under Bob Chapek? Because Bob Iger might not see it that way. He also might not like what he saw out of the 17 projects, give or take, from Marvel Studios that we've seen over the last 2 years, all varying degrees of crap outside of the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. And what is certain to become ever sharper elbows if this goes to court. Deadline has been told that despite her affable demeanor to the press, Alonso was sometimes challenging to work with at the House of Mouse. Now, I can't say who. I can absolutely confirm she was a little spitfire behind the scenes. The term, I don't use this term, but the term bully was used. And I've heard more than a couple people say, I got stories. Maybe those stories will come out. We hope so. The punishing schedule aside, one insider cited how Alonso would take off to conduct her own personal business affairs, Reed producing the Argentina 1985 Oscar-nominated film, and this ultimately resulted in some degree of logjam of Marvel films. See, do you believe some indie film that she is just producing? She's not a creative executive. She's just a producer. So what exactly would she be doing on some small little indie film? It's called being a fall guy. While many studios suffered delays in post-production houses due to the pandemic, Disney on several occasions postponed its bigger movies, i.e. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor and Love and Thunder, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and most recently, The Marvels. In the new cost-cutting, job-cutting Iger 2.0 era, count VFX expenses, which was chiefly under Alonso's domain, as one of those line items that needs to be reined in. Whether or not that meant showing the door to Alonso is a whole other matter, likely heading towards a payout or trial at this rate. The hiring of Hollywood heavyweight litigator Glazer was first reported by Variety. Okay. So as with all things, I'm sure we got some truth there. Well, what's this say up here? Breaking news. Disney General Entertainment layoffs include Hulu SVP Mark Levinstein, Freeform SVP Jane Bieber or whatever, as TV production gets consolidated. Yeah. Many are about to go. Many are about to go. There was a lot of reasons she was fired. Behavior, working on this film, not getting her job done, or more importantly, given too much to do and maybe promoted beyond her ability. And that promotion probably came because it looked really good to promote a gay Latina in 2021. I know Bob Chapek was there to save everything. And he got clipped at the knees right before he was going to turn it all around. By the way, news broke today, I believe. Indiana Jones 5, which doesn't really exist in my mind because there's only 3 Indiana Jones films, has a budget of $300 million. $300 million. Woo! Good luck with that. So on top of all that, Alonso is suing, and then we have Jonathan Majors. So he is accused of hitting a woman, possibly strangling, a fight over a phone. Not really sure. Wasn't there. There were witnesses. There might be a video, which could exonerate the man. He was not. There also, I believe it was said that it was Jonathan Majors who called the police and not his girlfriend. These are all things I've read. I don't know if any of this is true. He was arraigned today. He was arraigned, despite, I believe, the girlfriend wanting to recant. Not really sure. So innocent until proven guilty. We've seen way too many people canceled for absolutely nothing and their careers ruined. I do not want that to happen to this man if he doesn't deserve it. I certainly hope I hope everybody's okay. I hope the woman's okay. I hope John's okay. I hope this is just an overblown argument and nothing really happened. That's what I hope happened. And I hope he continues on with his illustrious career and everybody from Ant-Man 3 can continue simping for him. It's still really bad for Disney, no matter what happens at this point, considering they fired Gina Carano for posting a meme on Instagram that ended up being absolutely true. And I never had a problem with it, like ever. Jonathan Majors charged with multiple counts of assault and harassment by NYC DA. Well, we know New York City DAs are just stand-up guys. Stand-up guys who don't go get some grand juries to start. Man, that just fell out of the news, didn't it? Get some grand juries to try to put some charges on a certain former president, and then it turned out all to be bullshit. Yeah, New York City DAs, stand-up guys and gals. Defense lawyer says there's no evidence proving actor is there is evidence proving actor is entirely innocent. Updated Monday with more information from the Manhattan DA. Jonathan Majors' criminal defense lawyer is speaking out and claiming the Creed 3 actor and Ant-Man 3 actor, Kang, is innocent and has evidence proving his innocence. Jonathan Majors is completely innocent. We've heard that. And it is provable the victim of the altercation with the woman he knows. We are quickly gathering and presenting evidence to the district attorney with the expectation that the charges will be dropped immediately. Kadri, I think it's Kadri. I'm going to say it's Kadri. I'm mispronouncing that name. Said that the evidence includes video footage from the vehicle where this episode took place, witness testimony from the driver and others who both saw and heard the episode, and most importantly, 2 written statements from the woman recanting these allegations. That's kind of important. I mean, like, listen, the cynic inside me says, well, the check cleared, but we don't know that. We don't know that, and we have to be fair. Majors, also the star of Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, was arrested on Saturday, March 25th in New York City on charges that included assault, strangulation, and harassment. All the evidence proves that Mr. Majors is entirely innocent. We've already heard that. A preliminary investigation determined that the 33-year-old male was involved in a domestic dispute with a 30-year-old female. Read the statement from the Deputy Commissioner of Public Information this weekend. The victim informed police that she was assaulted. Officers placed the 33-year-old male into custody without incident. Okay, so the cops back in the day did not take domestic abuse very seriously. And they do now. They do now. So if there is as much as a scratch on somebody, somebody's getting cuffed, somebody's going to jail. You're all adults here. You understand. Like, if your girl wants to see your phone, she thinks you're texting up somebody. I'm not saying this is what happened here. I mean, have a good password. I don't know. Or I don't know. Don't be cheating on your girl. That might be. But yeah, you know, if she does get the phone, like, just get the phone back without, or try to get the phone back without like laying hands on a woman, which nobody should ever do. The victim sustained minor injuries to her head and neck and was removed to an area hospital in stable condition. Stable condition can mean a lot, but I don't want to downplay that. And like usually I'm not into this he said, she said stuff for many reasons, but usually truth comes out later and it ends up, you know, sometimes, yeah, it's bad, but sometimes it's all bullshit. So we don't know. After police responded to the 911 call supposedly made by the Lovecraft County actor on Saturday night over an alleged domestic dispute. Majors was removed from the residence by police. He was arraigned in front of a judge a few hours later. Prosecutors sought supervised release and a full order of protection, but the judge granted a limited order of protection and Majors was released in the early AM. So, yeah, I mean, this could all just go away. A complaint by the Manhattan DA's office detailed the situation in the apartment in the City of Chelsea neighborhood. The defendant okay, I'm just reading what it says here. The defendant strike her about the face with an open hand. Guess the AI hiccup right there. Causing substantial pain and lacerations behind her ear. Ooh. Said the paperwork of the woman involved. She observed the defendant grab her hand, causing swelling, bruising, and substantial pain to her finger. The defendant put his hand on her neck, causing bruising and substantial pain. Because men and women are different. Jonathan Majors, I don't know how tall he is, but dude, they're certainly in shape after Creed 3. Probably a strong guy. Don't know. It's bad. So, like I said, hopefully this all gets worked out and it was just this overblown thing. But it's just another piece of bad news that Marvel doesn't need at all. Especially since Marvel Phase 5 and 6 are completely reliant on this guy. Now, could they simply just recast? Sure. But not if he didn't do anything wrong. So time will tell. The bigger problem, I think this will blow over. I could be wrong. The big problem still remains, and we talk about the pop culture here, is, well, I mean, like domestic abuse is bad, but that's not what I'm going to get into. Domestic abuse, bad. But you can say that and also acknowledge that this is probably not a very good description, a massive black eye for Marvel still. Because most people are going to read the headlines. Well, it depends on how the news cycle goes. Now, Marvel tried very discreetly to announce a show today because they're desperate to change the news cycle. It's like, Disney, Marvel, can you go a couple days without having something really bad happen? I'm trying to catch up. Think about me. and my needs, okay? Secret Invasion is going to premiere June 21st. That means there's actually going to be about 6 or 7 months. No, that's 8. 8 months between premieres of Disney Plus shows. That's almost like a breath. And I don't know what that does to Loki, because Loki was supposed to come out this summer. Secret Invasion was supposed to come out in the spring. Everything else was delayed. I forgot to mention that. Everything else was delayed. Marvel's is pushed down to November, which I'm sure they want to just put directly on Disney Plus, but they can't because they painted themselves into an identity politics corner. Yep. Big problems. And no, I'm not sorry about the problems at Disney. They brought it on themselves. You know, John Wick 4 came out over the weekend. Did really well. Made tons of money for a 2-hour and 49-minute rated R violent film. It was a beautiful violent film. I have a review on my channel. I freaking loved it. I loved it. I can't wait to see it again. I just did a John Wick marathon. I'm ready to do another. And yes, my kid's old enough. I'm going to take my kid to go see it. Can't wait. He's looking forward to it. So, yeah. And you know what? That's just, it's a very simple action franchise that just entertains people. There's no stupid BS involved. There's no attacking fans. And they're reaping great rewards. It really isn't rocket science, but apparently it is for Disney Marvel. See, when you have the activists hitch their wagon onto something successful because they can't make anything on their own, they can only destroy, it ruins everything. It ruins absolutely everything. And this article just came up about an hour ago. Oh, no. Ant-Man 3 crashed at the box office after a trilogy best opening. What went wrong? Oh, well, this can't be a 6-hour stream today. I've got a few videos that might have mentioned what went wrong. So have many others. My buddy, The Drinker. Mahler has a 6-hour video on one movie. Geeks and Gamers, they all got Ryan. They all got videos explaining exactly what went wrong. Let's see if Variety misses the entire point, because I think they will. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Yes, that's the presiding feeling about the box office performance of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Well, for one, that's a stupid title. It is a stupid title. Why did you even put "and the Wasp" when you completely took her out of the movie? I mean, why'd you put Ant-Man in there? Should have been Janet Van Dyne sluts her way across the quantum realm. Disney's superhero threequel opened to $106 million domestically in February. Well, listen, here we go. They're going to praise it. Eviscerating trilogy records among the Ant-Man standalone stories, completely forgetting inflation and actual tickets sold, which one is way up, the other's way down. But ticket sales for Paul Rudd's latest adventure have cratered in subsequent weeks. At this rate, Ant-Man 3 may become one of the rare Marvel movies to either fall short of or barely surpass the 500 million mark at the global box office. Well, I do not believe Shang-Chi passed it. I do not believe Black Widow passed it. And I do not believe Eternals passed it. I'm just going off the top of my head. I could be wrong. But I do know that the budgets, which weren't fully reported, ballooned so much for those first 3 Phase 4 movies that none of them made money. None of them. At this point, it's earned just $407 million globally after 6 weeks of release. That's not much higher than Disney's pandemic-era Marvel movies, including Black Widow, $379 million. There we go. Shang-Chi, $432. Wait, Shang-Chi was a massive hit. I was told that it was a massive hit. even though it only made $30 more million than the massive bomb that was the Eternals. But, remember, it was the pandemic until Spider-Man No Way Home came out and embarrassed all that shit. And nowhere near franchise heavyweights like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which made $955 million based on the goodwill from Spider-Man No Way Home and cratered the next week. And Thor Love and Thunder, $760 million. And sure, Ant-Man may not be Marvel's A-list, like the God of Thunder or Sorcerer Supreme. I like Doctor Strange. I've always liked Doctor Strange as a character, especially the Steve Ditko stuff. I've loved Doctor Strange. He's never been A-list. And he's not A-list in the MCU. Thor is the last A-list character in the MCU. Can't count Spider-Man. They don't own him. And Hulk wears Birkenstocks. So stop it. Ant-Man may not be on Marvel's A-list, like the God of Thunder or Sorcerer Supreme, but even worse, it's unlikely to match the totals of the first two Ant-Man movies, which earned $519 million and $622 million respectively, which had a lot to do with being in between two of the most anticipated sequels of all time. Let's not even bring up Captain Marvel, the most overrated, overinflated film of all time, with production budget of $200 million and a marketing spend of at least $100 million. Ant-Man 3 is expected to fall short of the roughly $600 million needed to break even in its theatrical run. So think about Indiana Jones. Think about Indiana Jones. $300 million. I mean, most of that is probably de-aging Harrison Ford, okay? And listen, I want Harrison Ford to live forever. I think he's kind of an empty-headed moron, and I never fly in a plane with him. But I want him to live forever. Were granted amnesty for losing money on the big screen because they were either released simultaneously on Disney Plus or were put in theaters at the same time. People were more reluctant to go to the movies due to COVID. Except for Spider-Man No Way Home. The dismally reviewed Quantumania can't use the same excuses for losing tens of millions in its theatrical run. The one bright spot is that it could recoup some costs through the home entertainment and other ancillary markets. Disney declined to comment, folks. There's no question audiences were not satisfied with Ant-Man 3, says David A. Gross. Well, God, that guy earned his paycheck, didn't he? Who runs the movie consulting firm Franchise Entertainment Research. Superhero fans are highly in tune with these stories. Comic book fans are. Comic book fans. Not Google Wiki superhero fans or in our commentary review sphere, talking heads who regurgitate their wiki knowledge or just literally reading off of wiki when they are talking about a superhero that they probably never heard of until their assistants did research, like, I don't know, off the top of my head, Sentry. And that helps when the films connect, which has been almost all the time. But in this case, it hurt. Oh, did it? Oh, I'm so sorry. Got a little boo-boo? Box office numbers back up that assessment. Marvel may remain critic-proof in terms of opening weekends. Sure, because they're all a bunch of effing shills. But it's when the rest of us start reviewing it, because we didn't get early access, that's when reality hits. Word of mouth generally dictates a film's multiple, which is industry parlance for the ratio of its total gross from its debut. Well, it got ratioed. Most films aim for a 3 or 4 multiple. In the case of Ant-Man 3, it will barely have a 2 multiple at the domestic box office, a sign that interest completely evaporated after landing on the big screen. By comparison, the first film had a multiple of 3.2 and the sequel had a multiple of 2.9. X-Ray Girl isn't here to do the math for me, so I don't even know what I just read. Quantumania is running out of steam in North America with $200 million, which is higher than the original Ant-Man, except if you adjust for inflation. but it's behind the sequel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, $260 million, though it'll likely catch up to its predecessor at the domestic box office. The third movie should be bringing in much more coinage. After all, debuted 40% ahead of the second installment. For Marvel, there is always such a high bar, not so much anymore, that anything less than a grand slam box office run is seen as underwhelming, says Paul DeGarabidian. Oh my God. DeGarabidian? Sounds like a bad Mandalorian name. A senior ComScore analyst with Ant-Man 3, the highest grossing movie released this year thus far. It may be that fans are looking for a bit more of the magic that was part of the Marvel brand for so many years ago, and through so many great films. Not so much anymore. It's been a long time since Endgame is not a great film. So the last good one that they produced solely was Infinity War. 2018? It's 5 years ago. This year has been rough for comic book adaptations, a genre that usually is untouchable at the box office. Okay. Not so much anymore. Shazam! Fury of the Gods has also crumbled since opening in mid-March, earning a paltry $46 million to date. The $110 million budgeted sequel from Warner Brothers and DC is shaping up to be one of the worst results for a modern superhero film. First of many. Wait till Blue Beetle comes out. Like, I like comics. I like DC comics. I like Blue Beetle. I'm not excited about, a second generation Blue Beetle that's not Ted Kord. I'm not. And yeah, sure, it's that kid from Cobra Kai, and good for him. No problem with him. But what they're going to try to do is make it Spider-Man, and Blue Beetle ain't effing Spider-Man. Still, box office analysts aren't crying superhero fatigue just yet. Of course not, because the analysts are hired by Hollywood, and they need to tell them exactly what they want to hear and spin what has been evident for years now, that they are in decline. And they are in decline because they're bad stories. And they're bad stories because you're not hiring talented writers. Because of diversity, inclusion, and equity, you're bringing in a lot of very, very green talent that has no desire to actually make good films. And they were, again, maybe like Victoria Alonso, promoted beyond their ability. They are not hiring the best person for the job. It's a tough pill to swallow for some, and we're seeing that in comics now. Your boy Zach, his community posts are great, by the way, but he's always pointing out the diversity hires from comic books, because I've always said it was a proving ground for Hollywood, are now complaining that they're not getting any work anymore, and it's crushing their confidence because they were promoted beyond their ability, which is not fair. Now, do I blame them for taking a job? No, but it is cruel. It is cruel. I know a lot of people won't feel sorry for them, but let's just say for the ones who didn't go out and attack fans, like the one or two who just thought they got there on their merit. They're now finding out they got there based on their identity and their skin color. And as we said for many years, it's going to make a person feel like shit. Progress, ladies and gentlemen. However, the results signal a near future in which studios can no longer release just any mega-budgeted comic book adaptation in the theaters with the expectations it'll turn into a box office smash. In COVID time, Sony and Marvel Studios' Spider-Man No Way Home is the only superhero movie to cross the coveted $1 billion mark. And as I said, right after Endgame was over, in my review of Endgame, which was strange because I came out of it liking it, and then by the time of the review, I think I talked myself out of liking it by the end of the review. It was a long time ago. I think I was with Comics Division on that one. We were both going, yeah, we liked it but then we just tore it apart for 2 hours. As I said then, the investors aren't going to give a crap about the difference between a Avengers Endgame and an Ant-Man movie. They don't know the difference. They don't care. Bottom line, your last movie made $2.5 billion. Why didn't this movie make $2.5 billion? Well, this was a multi-team movie, and it was a culmination of 10 years. Don't care. Don't care. So that's why they got to keep ramping stuff up instead of doing what they did in the comics, which is they do these big events, but then they bring it back down. You know, it's like a good mixtape, right? You start it kind of rocking, goes up to a crescendo. Then you bring it back down, play a couple of romantic songs, then you big finish. So you got to bring it back down, and usually they brought it back down to the streets, right? Good Daredevil run, good, always good Spider-Man run. And that's how you keep the story going. And you build up to the next thing. Even comics stopped doing that, and then it was just event after event after event. That was towards the end of my days at the shop. I think the last event was Marvel Now. It was right after Avengers versus X-Men. And right when, I just had his name. Quesada left. Axel Alonso came in. And I immediately couldn't stand that guy. I'm like, oh, this is shit. Quality, a factor that the detractors... Hello. Quality, a factor that the detractors have complained is missing from Ant-Man 3 and Marvel, is more important than ever. What? It's always been important. It's like, look at this revelation. Oh my God, like quality is totally important in things. Audiences are making it known that the Marvel standard itself is set very high. Says Sean Robbins, another person who's earned their paycheck by stating the obvious. Way to go, Dick Tracy, chief analyst at Box Office Pro. Audiences like good stuff, not bad stuff. I'm an analyst. Goodwill is not permanent without the occasional reinforcement of why it's there in the first place. You got to occasionally reinforce good stories, when creating a sewer of content. Disney's Marvel just needs to drop that apostrophe S. Cinematic universe still remains unrivaled in its failure. It was unrivaled in its success. It is now unrivaled in its failure. In the current landscape of Hollywood, woke Hollywood, it's a franchise that cranked out 31 films across 15 years. All have opened at number one, and many have surpassed the $1 billion mark, and now spans across streaming with Disney Plus series like She-Hulk and WandaVision. But since the epic conclusion of 2019's Avengers Endgame, which stands as the second highest grossing movie in history, not herstory, except when you adjust for inflation, that is still Gone with the Wind. It is the number one by a long shot. I believe the one after that is Star Wars. Could be wrong. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. Cracks have started to emerge. Marvel's track record has been truly remarkable. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, Gross says. I'm not, and neither are you. The great Chuck Dixon said it on a real BBC about 3 weeks ago. He said, when the door closes, it will shut fast. And Dixon's been around, okay? He's seen a lot of doors open and close. Marvel rarely misses, but it happens regularly with all kinds of movies. It may be too early to draw conclusions. No, it's not. It is too late to turn things around. But the access media is still trying to draw conclusions. Oh, we don't want to. Don't be hasty. Don't be hasty. It's only been 17 projects that have had that were varying degrees of shit. Let's not go crazy here. But there's concern because the latest Ant-Man had the lofty responsibility of kicking off Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as well as introducing Jonathan Majors' villainous Kang the Conqueror as their apparent to Thanos, which is just fracking ridiculous. Okay? Kang's been around a long time, but he's always been a bit C-list silly. All right? Now, they've done good things with him, but, I mean, honestly, he's a notch above Stiltman. As well as introducing Jonathan Major, read that Marvel movies have thrived due to their interconnected nature. Ticket sales for Guardians 3, which debuts on May 5th, are expected to align mostly with the last movie, blah, blah, blah. That movie's going to do well, but again, it's a holdover from the before times. Like I said in my John Wick video, the responsibility of shifting the newer heroes to pick up the slack, upcoming installments like The Marvels and Blade, which will probably end up getting canceled, centers on lesser-known characters compared to Thor, Captain America, and Doctor Strange, all of whom became household names in the lead-up to the Avengers Endgame. But in order to keep building in the post-Endgame era, the movies can't merely rely on excitement for just what has come before. They will need to be of sufficient quality to keep bringing, man, they're geniuses to figure this out. Hey, we need to write good stories. It can't be quantity. It's got to be quality. It's like they just discovered the word. To keep bringing in ticket buyers beyond opening weekend, introducing them and getting them invested emotionally in the fates of other vigilantes like Miss Marvel, Ironheart, Echo, a castrated Kingpin, a cucked Daredevil. Yeah, can't wait. Robin's added. That's what will make Phase 5 so important in the broader context of the MCU and its box office prowess, which it won't have any. So that article came out today. It's just like one after the, I'm like, wow. Wow. It's been awful. Awful for Marvel, not for me. And not for, I'm guessing some of you. Some of you are probably having a good old time. How's the chat doing? I've been reading. Let's see how the chat's doing. Hello, chat. How are you? Look at it going there. Okay. Got some questions, then we'll get to the Rings of Power, and we're going to talk about Picard Season 3. And a debate that's raging between 4 people on Twitter. Usually I don't bring it up, but why not? Why not? I think it's a good way to kind of reset why we're here, why I'm here. Say the royal we, but I'm not going to speak for other channels. Although I know on the subject I will approach. My friends agree with me on this one. We will approach this subject. Mark with a C. If you're not subscribed to Mark with the C, you should be. I think he's got 11,000 subscribers, criminally undersubbed. The man has some pretty solid takes. Made a very good video today concerning Picard Season 3. Very, very good. I watched it. I liked it. Good, solid commentary. He has a very dad approach. I respect that. Matthew Hammond. Oh, boy. I'm going to get chastised for not watching Stargate. For $5 on the Streamlabs side. Thank you. Should this not be the Nerdrotic Nooner? It's noon in Australia. Are you being insensitive to our friends in the upside down world where their toilets swirl backwards? They have an oppressive government. They have to live with lethal lightning. No, I'm just kidding. I love lethal. And Shad screaming about nunchucks and burning wagons. Have a little sympathy, man. Do you see my email about a friend of Nerdrotic Channel who received a message from an insider at the Universal about the original Marvel Mario script? Princess Peaches was going to be the main character in the Marvel movie. Oh, no! Oh, no. Jeremy's firing up 10 videos as we speak. No, so it's not that way now, I'm assuming. I hope not. I want the Mario fans to get a very, very good Mario movie. And if they do get that, I think the thing will have legs. It'll be very evergreen. I will only watch it if my kid wants to watch it, because the last Nintendo that I played regularly was Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong. In the arcade. And I paid 25 cents per play. In Putin, Russia, Nerdrotic Stream U says Ivan. Am I Tuchakachovsky for $10? Does he stream me? Uh-oh. That's cool. Nate the Scott. Okay. And we're going to go over. Those are the donations. Thank you very much. And we've got some super chats. We have $20 from Josh Kelsey. Thank you for the donation. What do we have here? We have Duke Devil 95 gifted 10 Nerdrotic memberships. Thank you very much, Duke Devil 95. Appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to acknowledge a sport I could give a crap about. Just be brief. Is college basketball. I just don't care. But I am from San Diego. And I hate California. But it's my hometown. It's where I was raised. It's where I met my wife. I still have it, and my mom lives there now. San Diego State Aztecs, first time in history, go to the Final Four. They beat Alabama. It's like unheard of. So, congrats to my hometown. I still want our first champion because don't talk to me about the AFL championship by the Chargers in the 60s. That's cool and everything, but listen. The city's never had a championship. Padres are bringing it home this year. Padres. But congrats to the San Diego State Aztecs. As a massive Tolkien... Sports talk over. As a massive Tolkien purist, I actually like most of the Rings of Power. I hope Amazon makes it better and closer to the source material for season 2. Stoked for Warner Brothers to do more movies. Hoping the woke cloak falls off, says Matt McClure for $10. And Matt, I think this really goes into what we're going to say. When I was talking about Mark with the C's video and what we're going to talk about later. I completely disagree with you on the show, but you like what you like. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the donation. And we'd all love for everything to turn around. It's just not possible. It's going to be worse. And the show killed a fracking horse. No horse deserves to die for that show. Somebody accidentally stepping on a cockroach. That cockroach didn't deserve to die for that show. But if you liked it, that's cool. We can just disagree on that. That's all. And I hope it falls off too. And thank you, Matt. East Coast Toasty Boy for $2. It's always noon somewhere. Yes. That's what I'm saying. So sure, I was 7 hours late on that one, but I released a video today and I've been recording a video. Been trying to I was sick all week. So now I'm really behind and I had to double my output because I'm behind. That's fine. It's a rough gig. I watched 4 movies in 36 hours, which was awesome. I know it's such a tough gig, but I watched 3 John Wick movies and then A Clockwork Orange, which I haven't seen in like a decade, for a live stream. And damn, that movie is just applicable today. Holy crap. Completely forgot. I adore that movie, though. Is the Titan a 150-year-old Constitution class from the original series era, or is it recently commissioned iteration of a Constitution? So that's a bit weird, says Brendan Lucas for £5 British pounds. My understanding is the Titan it was Riker's ship that he left to, that he was captain to, and they refitted it as a Constitution class. I don't know if it was from a Galaxy class. I don't know. I'm sure they have an explanation for that. But it was an excuse to bring the Constitution class back into Star Trek because, and I understand it was I like Andre and I love Tom, I mean, I said, I watched their video. There's just things because I gave my word I can't say, but my guess would be that Terry Matalas really loves the Constitution class. It's been sprinkled throughout the entire series. He just wanted to bring it back because it's a better looking ship. Because it is. Listen, I have Galaxy freaking ships everywhere in this room, hanging on the ceiling. But the Constitution class is a sexy mofo. All right, it just is. It's a better design. Rustman for $20. My best to you and yours. Thank you for all your work. Thank you for the $20, and it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thanks for the support. We all thank all my co-hosts at Friday Night Tights, Real BBC, Quarter Black, X-Ray Girl, Perry. We all are eternally grateful for blessing us with this brilliant gig. Albert Nato Retro for $5.50 Canadian. Yellow Flash 2 just reported that Jonathan Majors may have been on the receiving end of the domestic assault, and he was actually the one who called the cops. I heard that as well. And it's not the first time a guy would get pulled in for getting his ass beat by a woman and just like sitting there and doing this. So yeah, we don't know. We don't know. And I don't want anybody to be hurt, and I don't want anybody to lose their job if nothing happened. And that's why I don't get into that. I'd rather talk about the pop culture stuff. That was just a relationship thing. And I don't want to see a man's, I don't want to see a woman hurt, and I don't want to see a man's career ruined over what could have been just a silly little argument. Nice to see you on time as usual, Billy Badass for $2. I know I'm so known for my punctuality. Very for $10. I like to compare how Justin Roiland was treated to how Jonathan Majors' treatment. Funny how close they happened. Yeah, Justin Roiland from Rick and Morty, charges were dropped. There are DMs out there that are very suspect, but DMs can be faked. I don't know if they're real, so I'm going to assume they are fake until they are proven real. The guy lost everything. The guy lost absolutely everything. Now, if he turns out to be a creep, then against the wall, mofo. But until then, innocent until proven guilty, and he had his charges dropped. And as usual, Twitter was very forgiving. So, and I don't like Rick and Morty. Rubney Penguin for thank you for the $1.49 Australian. Steve Watson for 20 British pounds. London, second largest French city. Good luck finding English peeps, not tourists. Well, I mean, that was the case when I was there last time. Brum is okay, but civilization, the North, starts with Derby and ends at the wall. Not skeptic, septic, tank yank. I like London. I'm not a big fan of cities anymore. I'm really over cities. Like, done. Like, visiting cities, like, if it's going to be I know parts of Rome can be a dump and Paris is on fire. I mean, these are places I haven't seen. I want to see them. But yeah, I'm way more interested in going to the countryside, but I will be in London going to the museums because the museums are freaking great. And it's a central location, and I know the tube pretty well, unless it's changed drastically, which I doubt it has. I know my way around that city because I, a couple years in a row for weeks, I walked around it. I just threw on a backpack and walked most places. And I know it's not as safe as it used to be, but I never felt in danger in that. And I've walked in places where I'm like, this is kind of sketchy. Never felt in danger in London. I met Gary Jeremy and Quarterback Garrett in New York in 2019. We watched The Joker 2. Fun time. Says best time is now for $9.99. That was a good night. Alamo Drafthouse. Watched a brilliant movie. Went through a metal detector because of all the freaking media hype BS. That was a good night. I might return to New York if Drinker does go to the New York Comic Con. I will. I have press passes, so I can go. If he goes, I'll go. Cold Warmich for $9.99. Greetings. Thanks for having Aiden on. Aiden was great. Aiden was really great. That was a good show. Heard you guys were bullying her while chat was being nice to her. From her audience to you guys, bully her harder to balance out the chat. We did we bully? I don't think we bullied Aiden. I like Aiden. She's nice. I've been watching her a long time. James Bursey for $50. Thank you. Thank you. Gary, when do you get your rights back? I'll make you the twin golden 19. I read this one already. So, yeah. Oh, it looks like I went into some. Wow, that's not picking up a lot. Something's wrong. Member for 5 months. When do you think all the vote stuff started? What vote stuff? Like California? Mail-in ballots. Your thoughts on Henry Cavill's Warhammer 40K possible return to Amazon project, The Exploring Observer, for $5. I'm rooting like hell for it, and I will take a crash course in 40K lore and support it if it's good. And I can't imagine like they won't at least try, because they're coming at it right. They're giving a shit about the fans and the lore. Show off one of your Enterprise ships, please. Well, I showed it off last time. It's the closest one. It's just the Playmates Galaxy class. I've got a Diamond Enterprise up there. I've got the toy from the motion picture, which is the Enterprise refit right there. I got another Diamond Enterprise over there. I've got a Klingon. I got a Klingon ship. I got a Romulan ship right there. God, what else? I have some Vipers hanging around. Lots of Star Trek. And I've got a bunch packed up. But there, you got one that was within reach. As a Matt McClure purist, love him shilling for Amazon. Says not applicable for $2. Fantastic Mr. Knox has gifted 5 Nerdrotic memberships. Thank you. Appreciate that. Big Worm has been a member for 31 months. Hey, check out Pratt's response to fan critics about his voice acting on the G&G T feed. I got to read the rest of it here. Dude's got class and gets it. Dude's always had class. 31 months. Find it suspicious Alonso fired. Campia goes on vacation, and he's releasing a vid to shore up X-Men name change. I saw it. Dude has no idea what he's talking about. That's what he said about us, by the way. So I know he was talking about us, and he said that us getting triggered, he's the real man, so he didn't get triggered. The reason we responded to this criticism is because we saw Marvel going woke back then. This was during a Captain Marvel interview, by the way, and we knew what direction it was from the comic books because we actually read the source material. We're not reading off of Wiki that was researched by his staff who read off of Wiki. I've forgotten more comic books than that guy's ever read. And he was trying to insinuate that we weren't men. Okay. That's all I got to say is okay, buddy. Nice high-pitched voice you got there. From New York, arrest is mandatory if evidence of injury in domestic abuse. Law can still press charges even without cooperation of alleged victim. Lord of Flatulence for $4.99. Yes, because sometimes the victim can be intimidated, paid off. Still, yeah, don't hit a. It's real easy. Don't hit a woman, especially for some stupid thing like a phone. Jim Boyd 98 for $5. Thank you for the super sticker. I mean, if you're not married, and you're a big Hollywood star, and she finds out you cheated, just go, yeah, I cheated. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be an argument, but just be honest. Just you wait, Gary. I'll have Disney's asses for firing my owner, says Victoria Alonso's vag. Gary, what is your favorite comic story? With all the crap, I'm trying to find something good and need a place to start. My favorite story. Good God. All-time favorite story. I mean, it's going to be a basic bitch answer. I mean, the one that like resonated with me the longest and the most is Frank Miller's initial Daredevil run and then Born Again after that. That stuff blew my mind. Dark Phoenix. But, I mean, like, one of my favorite graphic novels was Roger Stern wrote it, and Bernie Wrightson did the art, was Spider-Man Hooky. It's fucking fantastic. Hiring VA already had serious consequences to the MCU. Yeah, hiring her at all, right? I agree, Harry Brownhole. They want preferential treatment, not equity, says Not Equitable. Yeah, they do. No, this is about being put on a pedestal. And equality would be taking away the pedestal. Well, we can't have that. Can't have them treating, like I treat people. Like I will criticize a Chloe Zhao as much as I criticize an Alex Kurtzman. And I don't care where she's from, she got boobs or not, don't care. I will criticize their work equally. Would this be considered an afternoon? Either way, it's fantastic, Gary. You've convinced me to watch Picard season 3. It's amazing. Hail. We all win. Yeah, it is a win. Some people don't want to see it that way, and that's cool. That's a choice. That's a choice. Now, if you watched it and you don't like it, fair enough. Fair enough. You watched it and you didn't like it. Not going to argue with that. If you don't even want to watch it because Kurtzman Trek has treated you like shit, fair enough. Fair enough. But what I do here is cover pop culture and review things. That is the main thing I want to do, is review things. And I'm going to review stuff I like and stuff I don't like. Sometimes things surprise me, and sometimes things surprise me at how freaking awful they are. Honestly, The Mandalorian being as awful as it is, and I mean Kenobi bad, is kind of a surprise. But I think it also confirms that Jon Favreau doesn't know how to write TV. I think he is a script writer for film and a director. TV is not his strongest. It's not in his wheelhouse. So he ain't saving anything. And we're years into it. Hail Snowflame, cocaine is his god, and he is the human instrument of his will, said Arisaka, the dapper goose, who's a member for 6 months. You're right. That's an old school reference. Good old Snowflame. Snowflame. It's been a year. What a wild ride. Need to get you on my Wednesday night show sometime. Much love. Hail the fellowship. Winning. Hashtag Iron Age. The Common Nerd for 13 months. Thank you for being a member. Yeah. I mean, not this Wednesday, but in the future, yes. I'm busy all week. The time goes so quick, says Morgan Ray. It does. 6 months. Wow. Greetings, everyone. I'm freaking radicalized. Hail all, says Cam's Crash Courses for 21 months. The Schadenfreude is fun for now, but it doesn't bode well for the economy as a whole in the coming years. No, it doesn't. They're going to be slashing everything. Everything. Red Ring Death has been a member for 15 months. Well, this is a pleasant surprise on a Monday night. Hail, Gary. Hail, chat. Thank you for being... I have to, scroll over. a corner of our interest that, thank you for being in a corner of our interest I can always rely on. Cheers. Cheers. And Steve Marvin has been a member for 2 months. Oh, thank you for that. I already read that. Greetings, everyone. I'm freaking radicalized, and I read that. Okay. All right. Okay. Briefly, let's talk about the Rings of Power, then we'll talk about Picard. Because I hope I have this lined up right, by the way. Hey, I do. It's a big old ad. The rabbit hole. I don't know about that show. Horse dies on the set of the Rings of Power. And as I stated earlier, that is a tragedy. And I mean it. If a cockroach, if a flea is accidentally stepped on during the film of this, it is a waste of life. If Amazon had listened to me in the first place, the horse would be alive today. It would. Now a horse has died of embarrassment, ladies and gentlemen. A horse involved in production of The Rings of Power died on the set of Prime Video series in the UK last week. We are deeply saddened to confirm that the production horse died on 21st of March. Amazon spokesperson said the incident took place in the morning whilst the horse was being exercised prior to rehearsals, and it read the script. The trainer was not in costume and filming had yet to commence. Both the veterinarian and the representative of the American Humane Society were present at the time. The independent necropsy was confirmed that the horse died of cardiac failure after reading the actual script. According to sources, more than 30 horses were being used on the show that day, supplied by the Devil's Horseman, which has worked for such TV series as Wonder Woman, Justice League, Transformers: The Last Night. Why was there a horse in it? I watched that movie. How come I don't remember it? Game of Thrones and The Crown. According to the company website, this is the first horse fatality in nearly the 50-year history of the company. Sorry about the horse. Owned by horse masters Daniel and Camilla Napros and their father Gerard, which is based in Buckinghamshire. That's so freaking British, and operates in Europe. The horse who died was standing with around 20 other horses when it suffered cardiac failure, sources said. Other horses had started rehearsing at that time, while the other horse in question was just standing by. According to the Daily Mail, the horse was being prepped for a battle scene. After the horse collapsed, everyone was asked to leave for 30 to 45 minutes, and the body was removed, and then they made some gummy bears. After the work resumed, sources tell Deadline. So not to worry. We got the body out of there, and we started making our piece of crap show. PETA's mad. They want to use CGI horses. I wish. Can we do a CGI PETA? How about a CGI PETA? Can we trap members of PETA in the metaverse? No horse should die for this show. No insect should die for this show. None of my brain cells should die for this show, but they did. They did. This is going to be such a miserable, miserable failure when it comes out next year. And I am praying to the content gods that HBO Max finishes House of the Dragon season 2 first, and then just sits on it and waits for Amazon to announce a release date again, and then release their show a week before. Because that was great. That was great. Another show I got a little bit, not much, a little bit of criticism for liking. A little bit of criticism for liking. All right. So before we end this, I'd like to talk about Picard Season 3. I love it. I love it. Is it the greatest thing ever made? No. Is it better than the TNG movies? Yes. Does it pay a lot of homage? Yes, it did what it needed to do considering the circumstances. So let me tell you what I can tell you. And a lot of this Robert Meyer Burnett's already said publicly. We will start with this. Alex Kurtzman is and I don't like this, and I wish he would be fired, but he's not, is under contract until 2026. That was never in question, ever. He's got Star Trek. It's going to be shit. When I first talked about this show, I never said it saved Star Trek, never said it turned around the franchise. I just said, hey, we got this one thing that unfortunately is constrained by all this shit that managed to be good because they made something keeping in mind that they listened to all the criticism, all of it, and said, you know what? Let's go back to basics. Let's make a Star Trek show that's just going to entertain and please people. It's not going to reinvent the wheel. It's rediscovering it. Now, there's information out there. I know some of it. I don't know it all. That's been out there. That's not exactly correct. That's all I can say. It's not exactly correct. Some of it's really not correct. But this is what's the most important thing. Scoopers are going to be scoopers. They're going to do their scoopy poopy thing. I don't really give a shit. I've said this 1,000 times before. The reason I don't do it, I'll pass out like some hearsay that I've heard from somebody I talked to on the phone that I know their first and last name and know their number and they know mine. If it's in context, but I don't want to make headlines. I'm not trying to push any rumors or anything because most of them aren't true. They're just not. But it's part of the game. It's always been to this. And people always discuss rumors. We always discuss them in the comic shop. Don't really have a problem with it. The reason I don't do it is because I'm putting my credibility into somebody else's hand. And I've worked too hard to let somebody fuck it up. I'll fuck up my own credibility. Thank you very much. If I'm going to do it. And I've based on recovery and my life and being a dad, honesty is the best policy. And if we are not being honest, it's just another narrative. We're just another fucking narrative. No thanks. Somebody else wants to do that? No problem. So when I watch a show, and believe me, when I saw the trailers, I thought it was going to be shit. I wasn't really super convinced in the first episode, but I saw kind of the same thing I saw with House of the Dragon Season 1. I'm like, wow, I didn't hate it. I didn't want to throw something at my screen, which I did multiple times watching Star Trek Discovery. And I think I have a pretty good record of being very honest and very harsh on Kurtzman Trek. Very harsh. Still blocked by Paramount Plus and will always be blocked by Paramount Plus. And the early screeners I got, I did not get from Paramount. But the show was good. Now, RMB was talking about it forever, and I'm like, well, RMB liked Shang-Chi, and I didn't. We've disagreed on a lot of stuff, so we'll see. But he was just like, just wait till you see it. Just wait till you see it. I'm okay. Dave Cullen sees it. He likes it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. All right. Then I saw it. And I sat down and watched it with my wife. She freaking loved it. And I liked it. And I saw it for what it is. A win. It's a win. Because somebody listened. That's not just to us. That's not even realistic. I think it's a noble thing to want to make something for all the fans, because Kurtzman Trek has not been that at all. There's other details that will see the light of day in the future. So I would caution people, not you guys. You guys speculate all you want. You're fans, and I respect that. I would caution content creators To get too far ahead with stuff that goes way past what the actual truth is, which is still the most important thing. Just being honest. If Disney Marvel makes a movie that's good, I'm going to say it's good. And I know I'm like stating very obvious things, but sometimes you have to do that on the internet. Sometimes you have to do that in the internet. See, I would make a lot more money if I shit on Picard season 3. Just would. Or maybe not. We're not sure. Judging by my reviews on Nerdrotic Live, they're very similar to when I was absolutely destroying Picard season 2. Very similar views, very similar reaction. Because I know most of you understand this thing called nuance. So when, and I'm as surprised as anybody, I like this show. Again, I'm going to say it because, sure, I could go shit on it, put videos on the main channel. They'd probably do pretty well, make a couple bucks, but there'd be a big problem. I'd be lying. And I know there's there's a few detractors out there who don't like my brand of the truth. They go so far as to call me a liar and call you guys, the worst part about it is they call you guys a bunch of lemmings, right? And that's usually content creator hubris. Probably comes from not having a lot of friends. You know, friends are really good to bounce ideas off of. So my wife is great for that. It's like, hey, is this a great idea? She's all, no, it's stupid. It's good to have friends and partners to bounce stuff off of, to keep you from being fucking stupid. Keep me from being stupid. So they might not like my honesty and the way I see things, and they have every right to not like it, but that's what it is. There is no, oh, I secretly walked out of Shang-Chi weeping with joy. It's like, now I got to go shit on it for my channel. Are there people like that? Yep, there are. But not my style. As I said on Twitter, right when Picard started, I'd rather shut this shit down if I had to go out and start spinning narratives and lying to people. No thanks. No thank you. This is just the way I see things. I don't see it as absolute. I am right about everything. I don't roll out of my bed thinking I'm right about everything, nor do I want to. And people can like what they like. I try very hard, not perfect, but I try very hard not to get too emotional and shame people. I mean, you know, I will question a Star Trek Discovery fan's taste, and I wouldn't take their directions to a bathroom, but they can like Star Trek. I don't give a shit. But the whole point was always, you can like what you like, but I'm not going to like what I'm not going to like, and I have every right to be here as much as anybody else. And same goes to you and every other content creator. As far as Kurtzman's job, again, ain't going anywhere. Never was. It was never in question, ever. Paramount's very bottom line. Star Trek hasn't been a massive success, but Paramount's got bigger problems. They're losing money like crazy. Now, could things change? I don't know. But Paramount's big thing is the Sheridan-verse. And I know a lot of you out there are enjoying the hell, and I am too, of 1923, 1883, Yellowstone. That's paying for Star Trek too. Tulsa King. Kurtzman got his claws in the Star Trek, and he fucked it up beyond all recognition. And we got this little gift. And it ain't perfect, but we got this little gift from somebody who was free to make it. Kurtzman was not pulled off of Star Trek Picard Season 3. He fucked off. He was doing The Man Who Fell to Earth while they were filming Picard Season 3. And he didn't care. Akiva Goldsman didn't care. Michael Chabon was shown the door. Sorry, but canned. And Terry Matalas had free reign because nobody cared. He had no budget. You could see it here and there. A lot of, it's a very bottle series. Kind of like Star Trek 2 was a bottle movie because the budget was slashed. Now, that being said, if you're done with Kurtzman Trek because of all the bullshit, I respect that. I absolutely respect that. But it was never going to change anything. It just wasn't. I know there's a legacy spinoff out there that's being talked about. Well, a Titan, a USS Titan, that cannot be. Maybe if they change some details about it later, but it cannot be. We'll see. I mean, things have changed. I think what helped Kurtzman Trek more than anything was Strange New Worlds, a show I hated. I freaking hated. But that show helped them. Absolutely helped them. More people watched it. So there you go. And it's getting a second and third season. That was never in question. I wish I could tell you otherwise, but that wouldn't be true. I wish I could tell you Kathleen Kennedy was getting fired. I wish she was fired. I wish they would erase the Disney trilogy. I wish these things were true. I wish they were digitally replacing Phoebe Waller-Bridge with Short Round and spending another $100 million to do it. I wish I had an 18-karat gold toilet seat, but I don't. As Robert Burnett correctly said, authenticity is the currency of the future. It's the currency of the now. And that goes for making film. That goes for writing comic books. That goes for being a radio fucking DJ. Like the canned teleprompter reading bullshit, that's outdated. You know what's outdated, John Campia? The shill. The shill's outdated. People want something more. And you can be that change. You. Whether you make, part of the Iron Age, you're making a comic book, you're making a movie, the epic verse out there, or you just want to pick up a microphone, make sure it's a good one, and make some content for a hobby. In your spare time after work, do a little movie review, gets a couple of views. Maybe it turns into something, maybe it doesn't, but it's kind of like I would equate it to like having a garage band, but it's a lot cheaper and a lot easier to get the band members together to practice. Because you don't have to drive anywhere. It's a good thing. And Hollywood cannot compete against that. They cannot compete against you. They tried. They tried to vilify you. They tried to demonize you. Ultimately, we are the audience. We are the paying customer. We are always right, and we are winning. We are winning. Like what you like. Life's too short. But I'm not going to like what I'm not going to like, too. And I'm going to speak my mind about it, and I'm not going to stop. Not going to stop. Fantastic Mr. Knox for $10 Australian. The problem with shill media is they see people like you as a threat, so they will label you. Free handouts from whoever they support to be at Disney or Warner. Do your thing, and I plan to. Fantastic Mr. Knox, Critical Drinker, and I were called shills on Twitter today. Again, it was a Twitter account created in January 23rd with 0 followers and a hamster for a fucking picture. I was like, wow, holy shit. I know where it comes from. I don't care. How dare you tell the truth? How dare you be entertaining? How dare you tolerate? How dare you tolerate different people and opinions? That's sheer effing hubris. Love ya. You big old fashioned nerd. You get more views than the multi-million-dollar TV shows. Oh, cheers. Sometimes. Drinker does, for sure. That was probably a proud moment. I do have a couple of videos. Now, this is all of Drinker's videos, but I have a couple of videos that got more views than the last episode of Gotham Knight in 6 hours. Thanks to you. Big fan says, Vrund for 110 yen. Cheers. Thank you. And Mage Demon, thank you for the 20 Australian. I appreciate you. That one guy for $2. Have you ever heard of HeroClix? It's up your alley. Yes, I sold them. Are they still around? I've got a couple in my kitchen. I have a Superman and Batman. I remember HeroClix. Oh, yeah. Mage Demon has gifted 10 Nerdrotic memberships. Thank you very much. And 10 more. So that's 20 total. Crazy. Gary, I hunted for John Campia's dick. I don't have my, because I'm not on StreamYards. But Kate C, a.k.a. Snake Plush Kitten, thank you for being a member for 10 months. Aaron for $49.99. If I can get this to stop without. Found out my brother will be moving from LA to Vegas soon. Really looking forward to being able to hang with you at the meetup. Keep up the great content. Appreciate you, man. Aaron, thank you for the $49.99. Appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you. April 26th, 6 p.m., 21 and up. We forgot to put that on the thing. And God, that was terrible. Some poor kid, some family brought their kid. So I just hung out with the kid. I hung out with the kid as long as I could. I felt so bad. So yeah, we're doing it at a bar. It's 21 up. We can't have kids. But what we will do is I will have an alternative meetup. I will let you know what day it is. And it'll be family friendly. It'll be one where you can bring the kids. I just didn't think about it because I'm an idiot. So again, to that kid, I'm so sorry. So sorry. You're such a good kid about it too. He was so cool about it. And I felt awful. Mage Demon, thank you for being a new member, by the way. Hey, Gary, if you come to New York, visit the Museum of National History. If you do nothing else, it's great for everyone. Yeah, I didn't go last time. I will go this time. Irene, thank you for being a member for 16 months. Horny Alf, what's up? Gary, I want to plug my channel. Vets Talking, that I am a panel member, just under 3 months old, and it's already at almost 3,500 subs. That's, dude, you did way better than me. It took me years to hit 1,000. Hashtag save the horses, says D Jones for $2. Alan Horkin has been a member for 2 months. Not accurate to say Schadenfreude, as Marvel troubles, your joy is entirely without shame. Cheers. Yeah. Is it supposed to be shame? Yeah, I have no shame. No shame to my game. Has oversaturation been hurting the MCU with the woke? Yes. Feels like the MCU is going the way of Star Wars, with films less eventful since they have been dropping shows / movies nonstop for the last few years. Yeah. I Came 1906 for $10. There's other problems besides the woke foundation and sand that is identity politics. That is the source of all the problems, but it's exacerbating other ones that were already there, including corporatism, hubris, ego, greed. That all goes into it. And oversaturation. I think Picard and The Mandalorian switched mojos, says East Toasty Boy for $2. Maybe. I mean, consistency is the key. East Coast Toasty Boy. Consistency is the key. I've heard people, and I'm not against this argument, by the way. I've heard people argue that with The Mandalorian, and this is especially around season 1, especially around season 2, when people were saying Star Wars was saved, and they were emotionally moved by Luke coming back, which I would never shame anybody for. If you were, great. But there were people arguing that there needs to be a path of redemption. And I agree. I absolutely agree. I just don't see how that's any different than Star Trek. Said it before. Kathleen Kennedy, Alex Kurtzman, terrible leaders, have destroyed both franchises beyond repair. That path of redemption is like this big. Well, Star Trek Picard Season 3 threaded the needle for one season of television. This is not an endorsement of Kurtzman Trek. It does not save Kurtzman Trek. It does not turn around the franchise. You just got a little dessert that you didn't expect. That's it. That's all I've ever said. What happens from here? Well, I leave that choice to you. CBS and Paramount and Disney Marvel. But they are no different. None. Terry Matalas and Jon Favreau are no different, except one knows how to write television and one does not. Jon Favreau's made some great films that I love. I got nothing personal against the guy other than not backing his girl, Gina Carano. I imagine there were reasons. He was responsible for a lot of people's jobs. But then you blame Disney for not believing in their creatives enough to maybe weather the storm like they will with Jonathan Majors and like they have with Pedro Pascal, the voice actor. But Mandalorian is shit. It is like complete shit. Like to the point where, wow, I almost have to make a video on how bad it is because I was laughing out loud the last episode. And I don't think it's supposed to be a comedy. The Mandalorian is funny. It's funny as hell. It's like the best comedy on Disney Plus. I just don't think it's intentional. Off topic, any plans on bringing back Alex Jones or Alex Stein on FNT? I really enjoy your streams and vids. It cuts it off. Sorry, I got to read it. I've learned a lot over the years. Cheers. Leslie Tarkin, thank you for being a member for 4 months. Absolutely. Alex Jones is welcome anytime on this channel, and I love Alex Stein. He's welcome too. So yes, we have. I'll reach out to Alex. I'll reach out and see if he wants to come on. Love your vids, Gary. Keep preaching the truth. Thank you, JP McDonald. I appreciate it. Here, Gary, what's your favorite Star Trek film and your favorite starship? The Enterprise refit from, well, not the refit, but the one from the motion picture. Totally my favorite. My favorite film is Wrath of Khan, but a very, 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 very close second is Undiscovered Country. But I love them all. Motion picture, I've always loved it. That director's cut, 4K, whew, that is good. That's Star Trek. The Grizzly for $10. There are 440 books across 2 settings. Each of the 25 playable armies has their own setting. Even the villain have whole novel series from their perspective. Oh my God, that's a lot to read. The Grizzly. Thank you for the $10. Do you think you'll ever do a Venture Brothers retrospective? Yes. What I'm waiting for is the movie, which is supposed to come out this year, DP, for $10. We're supposed to get the Venture Brothers movie this year. But absolutely, there is a retro. It's not a retrospective, but it's a retro review that, cross your fingers, comes out while I'm in Vegas. When do you think? Warhammer is the only franchise with more lore than the Lord of the Rings. Its games works, anything cool, and throwing it in their own setting, giving it a cool twist. Yeah, like everything I've heard about Warhammer is cool, and I've told you, I just fear getting too into it because it would affect the channel. How do you feel about KOTOR game coming for PS5? I'm not in the, like, sorry, that one guy for $2. The Star Wars game I'm into had his vector graphics, and I've got it downstairs in my arcade. The Empire Strikes Back game and the Star Wars game and the Return of the Jedi game does not have vector graphics, but the Star Wars and the Empire game do. Do you think Across the Spider-Verse will be successful? Yes. I don't think I'm going to like it, though. It's got Prego Spider-Woman in it. I mean, ugh. It looks like it's got a lot of woke shit in it. It does. I like the first one, though. I did. Miles Morales is Miles Morales. Never said I didn't like that movie, though. Besides Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or Flash, I feel people might watch it in theaters. Well, the first one only made $300 million in the theater. I think it'll make a lot of money for an animated film, and it'll probably be one of the biggest hits of the summer. A lot of hype behind that. But you know what's going to help it is there's going to be Peter Parkers in it. But it's got Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, which I freaking love, for me, Return of the Jedi is the end. Hail, Gary. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Hey, Gary, just ordered item number 1, Ultra Mac Edition. There you go. Are you going to get one? Hail. Yes, Macabre Society. Thank you for the 1776. Honestly, hearing Red Letter Media actually review some new Star Trek without pain was enough season of Picard. Cheers. Yeah, classic Vigil for $4.99. I don't have the power to save anything. I don't own these franchises. I just speak my mind. If that's true, then I got Victoria Alonso fired. It was me. No, it wasn't. I don't have that kind of power. All right. Just a guy giving my opinions. I don't demand allegiances. There's just a lot of weirdness out there, and it's fine. It's the internet. I understand. But as I said before, if we're not being honest, it's just another narrative. Hope you and your family enjoy the trip to the UK. Thank you, James Busher, for £2 British. Republic Sentinel for $10. Working while sick, Gary. Dedicated doesn't quite say it. Mad respect and thanks for the content. Goodbye, Alonso. Make Marvel mail again. Yeah. I'm sure you spoke about the Gothic-looking Spider-Man that Dan Slott, I haven't yet, put in for a Spider-Verse story. Slightly better than Wheelchair Spider-Man, LOL. Slightly. Did I see a Punisher one too? Dan Slott's a freaking hack. Clean your room, bruh. Nightmare 99 for $10 Australian. All of them guys, even Star Trek, dare I speak its name? All of them. Quinn, thank you for being a new member. How do you feel? Okay, there we go. All right, if I missed any, I'm sorry. We'll get them. We'll get them next Nooner. I'll have X-Ray go collate them. She's at work, so I'm running solo. Boomer stream. So yeah, someday, sooner than later, a lot of truths from what led to Star Trek Picard Season 3 may come out. I can't be the one to do it, but they may come out, and it may pleasantly surprise you. Until then, it's a show that has zero effect. Like, if nobody watched it and it was a piece of shit, Kurtzman would still be announcing shows. I'm sure he'll be announcing one sooner than later. But whether it did good or bad wasn't going to affect his job because he had nothing to do with it. But now he could come in, like I said in my very first review, and take all the credit. Like people like him do. People like that pull that shit all the time. But this is a guy who, in my opinion, ripped off Anas Abdeen, ripped off other Star Trek, couldn't keep track of his own canon, ripped off video games, used a stock photo image and stock video image in a season of a multi-million-dollar franchise television show. Alonso, Disney security guards, probably. Ministry of Wrong Thing. That's a good one. Alonso. Victoria Alonso is a Namor. And that's a beautiful thing. Now, you're going to see a lot, like this debate's going to come up a lot because things are changing. Now, I don't think we're going to get a ton of change within our favorite franchises. People were supporting Andor. People liked some of my friends really liked Andor, The Critical Drinker, Mahler. Guys I love and respect. Did they save Kathleen Kennedy's job? No. Because ultimately, nobody really watched Andor. I don't know how many people are watching Picard Season 3. It seems like there's a lot of energy, but that could be based on like who I'm interacting with on Twitter. I don't really know. I did see it trend. Never saw Star Trek Discovery trend, ever. But I did see it trend, and it seems like there's a lot of energy, and it seems like a lot of people are liking it. Yeah, just like a lot of people were energized and liking The Mandalorian, which we've never gotten official word on this, but in my opinion, absolutely saved Kathleen Kennedy's job, who is currently under contract and remains under contract. Lucasfilm's a disaster. Kurtzman Trek's a disaster. Nothing's changed about that. It's just one little series. That's basically an accident. It's an anomaly. Because one guy got in there who has written and worked for Star Trek before. And also did a pretty good series, 12 Monkeys. Really good series. I liked it quite a bit. All right. We're going to wrap it up. Pineapple pizza. Can't have pineapple and pizza until Las Vegas. Ooh, it's 9:30. Holy shit. I've still got work to do. So this will be on Nerdrotic Live. I got to do it. So it'll be a couple hours because Quarter Black is on vacation. And tomorrow I'll be on The Real BBC with Az and Mahler, and we will discuss all of the week's events in detail. And then this Friday on Friday Night Tights, trigonometry. Trigonometry. That should be very interesting. By the way, poor Sargon, Lotus Eaters, great channel, got demonetized today. So show your support for Carl out there. It's a total bummer because that is a freaking good channel, man. That is a good channel, and we support him. We'll get him back on Friday Night Tights sooner than later. Free Brittany Venti on Twitter. And what else? Vegas meetup, 426. We'll have more stuff. Feels like I need to say something. Oh, Geek Grind Coffee. Check out Geek Grind Coffee. Geek Grind Coffee. Because I didn't play the commercial. They're wonderful people. And I'll see you next time. So thanks to the Modrotics. Thanks to everyone who left a Super Chat donation. Enjoy the Disney Schadenfreude without any shame. And have a very, very good day. Or evening. Bye. Oh, wait. I almost hit end. Matt McClure for $5. Campia sucks. Did you see how the channel is going down the woke toilet? I saw his last take. It wasn't very good. I don't see Robert there very much. It ain't shit without Robert. Okay, now we got to go. Thanks for the $5, Matt. Cheers, buddy.